So, yeah, today we're going to be reviewing the Deadpool 2, an R-rated movie. This is going to be the first R-rated movie I'm going to be reviewing. So, the movie starts out with, Deadpool in Hong Kong, I think. I know that takes place in the beginning, and he's going to, like, these other places and such. And it's also his anniversary with, his girlfriend. I forgot what her name was, but some thugs break into the apartment and, Vanessa dies. Yeah, I think that's his girlfriend's name. Then we, in the very beginning of it, actually, is when we, let me think. Cut this little diorama of, Logan's death from, Logan 2017. And, after this, it goes back to that scene because it was apparently a flashback. Then after this, flashback scene, he throws a cigarette into these, barrels of gasoline that he's sitting on top of, and he gets blown to pieces. But Colossus comes for him, and he goes to the X Mansion where he's sitting in Xavier's wheelchair. Then we get a cameo of the mutants from the previous X-Men movies, like Quicksilver and Beast. But after this, we then cut to him. I think what happens next is that Cable's introduced. He travels back in time. And Deadpool, or Wade Wilson, who's played by Ryan Reynolds, is messing around with Cerebro. Then after he messes around with Cerebros, we then cut to the hospital scene from Essex Corps, where this kid named Russell, who has flame abilities, is terrorizing people. Then after this, Deadpool's able to do it, but unfortunately he turns, and him and Russell take this, this like institution in the mountains where they get prison fights and such. And they wear these collars that prevent their mutant abilities, apparently. And let me think what happens next. Oh wait, I think I know what happens next. Cable shows up, then steals this truck from these two guys. Then after this, Cable breaks into the facility, and a fight ensues. They prison break. Wade is able to get out of there in time. Then, after this, after he breaks out of prison, he heads back home, where he talks with T.J. Miller's character. After this, they then form a group, and it involves Peter and some other people like Domino. But when they jump out of a plane, or after they jump out of a plane, where there's a character named Vanish who's with them. Then after this, everyone except for Deadpool and Domino die. Because everyone else gets electrocuted, like Vanish and Acid Mouth, and yeah, I don't really remember what their names were. Then after this right here, we then cut to a chase sequence on the truck where Domino fights off with Cable, who appears. And after this, Juggernaut, who was on the truck with them, apparently causes the truck to crash. After this, Cable survives, but Deadpool and Russell fight, and I think then Juggernaut rips Deadpool in half. Then Deadpool grows a new waist, but it's baby boy legs. And after this, Cable shows up, and he tells them why he's after Russell, because apparently in the future, when Russell's an adult, he killed Hope Summers and Cable's wife. After this, let me think. Hope Summers is Cable's daughter, by the way, if you don't read the comics. I don't know why. Then after this, let me think what happens next. After this, they then get to the institution where Russell was, and he tries to destroy the place, but they're able to get there in time. But before that, they then go to the X Mansion where Deadpool stands outside Colossus' window playing In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. After this, we then cut to the institution for real, where a fight sequence breaks out between let me think. Oh yeah, Colossus and Juggernaut. Colossus then takes this electrical cable and puts it in Juggernaut's butt. And yeah, he falls into water, and I think he dies. I don't know. And I think this was the very first X-Men movie Juggernaut's been in since X-Men 3 from 2006. After this, Deadpool, Cable, and Russell face off, and Deadpool tries to make reason with him by sacrificing himself for Russell, for Cable, so his family will live, and Russell doesn't kill them, but when he tries to go back in time, he decides to stop that from happening, stop Deadpool from dying, and that succeeds. Then after this, everything is good again, I guess. Then, yeah, and so yeah, sorry, I don't remember too much about the movie. I know some of it, but not a whole lot. And I'm going to talk about the after credit scene. I don't normally talk about them, but I want to talk about it for this one. In the after credit scene, Deadpool has Cable's time travel device thing, so he decides to go back in time to fix mistakes. The very first mistake he corrects is Vanessa's death. He prevents that from happening. When I forgot to mention in the beginning, Vanessa and Deadpool want to make a family, so Deadpool goes back in time and prevents Vanessa's death. Then after this, he then goes back in time to the events of X-Men Origins Wolverine, where the ending where they stitched Deadpool's mouth shut and had elasticated trousers on and blades coming out of his hands and covered in pen markings. So he kills the Weapon X that was infamously nicknamed Brockpool. Then after this, he then goes back in time to a young Ryan Reynolds who's holding the script for DC's Trainwreck Green Lantern from 2011, and Deadpool kills Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, that's my review on Deadpool 2. Goodbye.